things didn't go as you were expecting to. I mean, so we could talk about it either as um, unmet expectations or a time of failure. Uh, Tell us if you could share an example of that, and maybe how you recovered or how you bounced back or how you lessons learned from that experience.
As I mentioned earlier, I had some good things. And at the time, as when you're young, things happen to you and you just assume you deserve them. Then you look back in retrospect and say, boy, I was pretty lucky to get that off.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I was 31 years old when I was high, when Frank Beamer brought me back from the University of Cincinnati to be the defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech. That was back in 1988. And I remember we had a handful of years there. We had some great runs. We had the fourth rated defense in the country one year. And all of a sudden at age 36, we lost 8 ball games. And when you lose 8 ball games at Virginia Tech and you're the defensive coordinator, and one of those games is on a Hail Mary pass on the last play of the game, that we lost a 50-49 game up at Rutgers. I can still makes me sick when I think about it. Really, it was in a situation where I lost that job. In 1993, I was fired, at Virginia Tech. Not because I wasn't a good coach, not because I did something dishonest. We just did not win enough football games. And I remember, if that's ever happened to you, your first, and I even through that year when things were getting a little bit scrambled, and I had enough field savvy that I knew something was going to happen here. The bullet's going to get fired somewhere at the end of this season. I was in the thick of it at that time. Your focus was really more on outside things. Who's doing what to me? Who should I trust? Who can I count on? Even after I got let go in 1993, it took me a couple years before I could really sit down and say, wait a minute now, what were things I should have changed? What was I not aware of? What was under my control on the inside that I didn't step up and address, or that I didn't change? Because as I look back on it, there were changes I should have made. It wasn't just about the other people. It was really about me. And that took me a little bit of time, after going through that tough time. If you've never been fired from a job, the first time, it's always going to happen to somebody else. That's your mindset. But hey, at 36 years old, that happened to me, or 37. But what I will say that looking back on that, when I got the opportunity and I came here at Bridgewater to be the head coach, in my 4th year, I coached an 0-10 team. My 4th year in, and this is Division III, but they still expect you to be successful. I remember Phil Stone, who was the president at the time, called me into his office and said, Mike, you're my guy, but you have one more year to get this fixed. And I thought, well, thank you for the opportunity. At the Division I level, he probably couldn't politically have saved me, given me another opportunity. But I remember I was able to go back and draw on a lot of the things that I had learned from my Virginia Tech experience. About 7 years earlier, and say, wait a minute now, I've been here. I know what I would do differently. As I look forward to that, when I look back to that, really 1999 is when it really turned here for me at Bridgewater. We came back, we had a good year that year, and then kind of got on a run that kind of took us to the national level here for off and on over my last 15, 16 years. And when I look back on that, I was able to learn from a previous bullet that I had to take. And internalize that and correct the things that I correct. And that's what I try to tell people when you're in a leadership position. Hey, when things go wrong, you got to put up the mirror sometimes. It's a lot easier to look out, but putting up the mirror will probably give you a better opportunity to survive.